Hello, Germany.
Hello, France.
Everybody blames you for starting World War I, so we're going to make you sign the Treaty of Versailles. It's going to do a bunch of reparations, and also we're giving you a bunch of this. No!
I am Kool-Aid Man. I'm here just to save the day.
Thank you, Kool-Aid Man. That was not cool. The Treaty of Versailles was one of the first instances of global debt in our contemporary history. After Germany's humiliating defeat, the treaty imposed a $32 billion payment on Germany, putting them into economic ruins. In an attempt to combat this massive debt, Germany printed out more copies of their money to buy more foreign currency. As a result, German marks became so inflated that it was practically worthless.
Due to the economic crisis taking place, the UK, US, and European nations lended Germany money to build a new currency, on the condition that they could take significant control of the central bank. This event only worsened the economic pressure Germany was under, especially during the Great Depression. Though it was more extreme than most, the Treaty of Versailles posed an important question. What is global debt? How does it get so bad? And is there even a solution for it? Well, Leia, a lot of these loans that these countries are giving out seem to have a lot of conditions attached to them. Why is that?
It's because they're tied aid.
What's that?
Tied aid is a form of financial assistance where a country lends money to another country with strings or conditions attached. Oftentimes, these conditions are that the recipient country must buy goods and services from the donor country. The problem with this kind of aid is that it's often given in loans. These loans are often predatory and leave the recipient country prone to debt accumulation. As a result, donor countries often make more from interest in the amount they give in aid.
Oh, I understand now. This conflict only got worse after the 2008 economic crisis, where wealthy countries realized that they could exploit their ability to borrow money at low rates while providing aid in developing countries at far higher ones. Tied aid is one of the biggest contributors of debt accumulation, especially in developing countries. Wealthy countries will often exploit developing countries' lack of choice due to desperation, resulting in economic dependency. Well, Leia, I'd imagine that now we're more interconnected than ever on the globe, that internationalism plays a huge role in global debt.
And you'd be right, man. Internationalism brings both positive and negative effects towards debt. Colonization, for example, can cause a nation to struggle and bring them into debt once they decolonize, and once a nation is struggling, it's even easier to take advantage of a country with things like tied aid. Also, loans from different nations and banks is what caused world debt in the first place. But on the other hand, there are organizations such as the World Bank and the International Monetary Fund that encourage financial stability and assistance. Things like these organizations are extremely important to help developing and struggling countries.
Hey, I know a thing about the World Bank and the IMF. I can take it over from here. International global organizations are critical in the regulations of loans and providing debt relief. The two largest organizations that help alleviate debt are the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The IMF is responsible for monitoring global financial stability, encouraging internationalist economic policies, and providing financial assistance to member countries. The loans that the IMF provides to countries in crisis are funded by member countries' quotas. These loans are flexible and tailored to a country's circumstances and needs. However, the recipient country has to agree to a set of economic policies from the IMF that they have to abide by. This gives the recipient country some relief from the economic crisis, so they have time to adjust accordingly. Without aid from the IMF, struggling countries would be destroyed, as most investors do not want to invest in an economically unstable country.
The World Bank is a similar organization that aims to reduce poverty by lending money to countries in need. The World Bank gets the money it lends through loans. These loans are especially necessary in developing countries to help education development, healthcare, employment, and more. The World Bank helps to regulate global debt primarily through debt management. They work to assess a developing country's debt sustainably while providing resources to help these nations become less reliant on loans.
Now that we've taken the time to explain what debt is, how it accumulates, and what organizations are involved in it,
how do we solve world debt?
There are many steps that are needed to solve or lessen the problem of world debt. One thing we could do is raise the taxes for those who own a certain amount of money, and also regulate tax breaks, as well as make sure that they're not abused by those who have a lot of wealth. We should also raise the minimum wage, but allow tax breaks for smaller businesses so they can afford to pay this higher wage. This would stimulate the economy and lower the debt of a nation. Raising taxes for those who accumulate a large amount of wealth will not only help move the money around, but will also help the government pay off some of their debt and improve government services.
Along with this, lowering unnecessary government spending is also an important factor, as well as lowering interest rates. Lastly, debt forgiveness or debt reductions are also important to help developing countries.
Finally, here are some fun facts about global debt. Number 1. The US has more governmental debt than any other country. As of 2016, the the United States has accumulated nearly 20 trillion US dollars in gross debt, putting it ahead of countries like Japan, that has $11 trillion in debt, and China, that has $5 trillion in debt. Number 2. The IMF estimates that at least 100 countries will have to reduce spending on education, health, and social protection to meet global debt payments. And finally, number 3. As of 2015, Brazil has spent more than any other country on debt interest payments. The Brazilian government is reported to have spent 42.1% of its revenue on interest payments, which was a 28.8% increase from the year before.